Okay, perfect. Back to Monday again. Good to see you guys. Excited about the weekend, about the season starting, and being 1-0. Looking forward to the next game. After watching the film and kind of evaluating our performance, saw that there's a lot of things that we can improve on. I think I said that in the post game, but really feel that confirming that we can play better and play cleaner, but really proud of the way the guys played overall. And it's one of those difficult times where you look at the teams that played FCS opponents. Southern Illinois is a team that went to the playoffs, won their first game, went to the second round, and played against, I think, lost in overtime, close game to Idaho, who you guys saw what they did against Oregon. So these games, thought we had the right approach to take it serious. And like I said, I have a lot of appreciation for what they do at their level and how dangerous they could be, beating the last two FBS opponents in Northwestern and Northern Illinois. So glad the guys were excited about the game, but also took it as a challenge. But a lot of room to improve still. Excited about the next step now and going on the road and playing against SMU. Looking at the first game against Southern Illinois, obviously we need to get some things better. And if I'm going to say on defense, what we can do is got to control the quarterback run game. We're going to see a lot of that, especially this week. And then offensively, finish drives, find ways to capitalize on some opportunities. Special teams, I felt like we had some really good returns that were set up, and we just need to catch the ball to get that going. But stuffed a fake punt, which was really good. And after missing the first field goal, I like the fact that Will was able to come back and still have his mind right to make the next two. So we obviously there's room for improvement. We know how to fix them. Looking forward to getting started on that with today's practice. And now going against SMU, the head coach is a good friend of mine. Rhett Lashley's he's an amazing coach. He knows how to run an offense, call a game, and run a program. And so I think he's one of the best coaches in college football. And so he's done a great job with that program. And it's going to be tough for us to go in there and then play against them. But we have to get some things fixed in order for us to be at our best. So I know they have a really explosive team and our favorite in this game. So this is an opportunity for our guys to get in there and figure out ways to get better and improve and then take on a very impressive SMU team. So looking forward to the matchup. Have a lot of respect for their program and their coach and their staff, and they have really good athletes. I mean, I mentioned their quarterbacks. They have a few quarterbacks that can play, and then we've seen them on film, and they're very active, very athletic, and they can throw the ball too. So it's going to be difficult, but we're looking forward to the challenge. So what questions do you guys have for me?
Thanks, Coach. We'll take questions from Jared Lloyd and then Kevin Reynolds.
Kalani, I want to start out asking for a health update for the team. Obviously, first of all, with Jay Hills, how's he doing? And then across the board with the team, how are you guys health-wise?
Yeah, Jay's doing great. We're off and working and getting ready for SMU. The guys, no season-ending injuries, so that was good. We have some guys that are banged up. It was a game. It was physical, and so we'll see about. But right now, everybody looks like they're on target to play this game this weekend. I think adding Darius back on is going to be good for us on offense, but we have a number of guys that we can count on to help us make plays. I'm looking forward to seeing them improve and some guys get healthier during the week. But right now, we're anticipating everybody making the trip.
I also wanted to ask, just philosophically, how you approach the chess match. The goal every week is to win that game, but at the same point, you don't want to show everything in the playbook, to the next opponent. So how do you kind of balance those two things?
Well, I think that's what you do in camp is you want to put everything, you install your entire offense and defense for the most part. You definitely get the foundation laid, and then after that, you kind of pick and choose what you want to do against that opponent. And then you can go back and change a few things. But we have film on everything that we want to do this year. We'll add a couple things. But, you have to be careful about that, especially on a short week like this one. We're playing the game on Friday, so you can't really treat it. You get one less day for us to prep for the game, but it's not one of these save it for the next. It's everyone has their own plan for every game and every week and the matchups, and so we felt great about our plan going into this game in week one, and now we have to adjust and see what we're going to do against SMU. But you can't just throw things away and just start all brand new. So it's not a clean slate. It's just let's have our identity that we like, and then some things that we can change up and that we think can be maybe helpful in our matchup. But it's when you look at it personnel wise, they got all the talent. We just got to make sure that we can match it.
Hey, Kalani, you mentioned a little earlier, I was just wondering, are you expecting to see both quarterbacks this week from BYU, and are you preparing for that possibility with both Preston Stone and Kevin Jennings?
Yeah, I think you have to be prepared for all of it. So, I mean, that's just kind of how the game of football works. And so I think they have to prepare for it, and we have to prepare for it. And from what I saw this last week, they have a bunch of quarterbacks that can play, and they can run and can run that offense effectively.
And just to follow up, when did your relationship with Rhett Lashley start? Did it go back to that 2022 bowl game, or was it before that when you guys first?
Yeah, that's actually the first time that we were able to sit down and in that bowl game we were able to hang out and share a meal together. And then I was really impressed with him. Got to be around him and his family. And then there's these coaching events that you do in Pebble Beach and things like that. And he's a great golfer. I'm not. So I mean, there's a lot of things that I can learn from him, especially in the golf world. But he's got a brilliant mind when it comes to football. This guy knows how the game works. He's got a great relationship with Gus Malzahn, and so like you see where his coaching tree comes from and what he's done as a player and what he's done as a coach and a play caller. So I'm a football junkie, so I like guys that are really good coaches, and I study them. But more than anything is I admire what he does, and then I meet him in person. And I see, like, man, this is a really good dude, and I like being friends with him. So I just, we just have to compete against each other this week. But man, he is a great human being, great family, and I think he's doing a great job leading that SMU team.
Next, we'll have questions from Sean Walker and then Jake Hatch.
Yeah, Coach, following up on the quarterback talk a little bit, and you touched on this some after the game some, but what's Gary's role kind of with this team now that it's codified and solidified and out there with Jake as QB1 and Gary backing him up? Do you hope to play maybe a little bit more than he did against Southern Illinois, or what's kind of your sort of take on where he's at?
Yeah, we know what we're doing. I'm not going to tell you guys our game plan. You guys are going to just get, SMU has the ability to watch this too. So you guys are trying to give it away, man. Just we know what we got. We know the talent that we have on our team, and there's always a threat of him being on the field.
Kalani, you talked about wanting to be able to defend the QB run game in particular a little bit better. Does that go more to coaching you guys up on how to do it, spying the quarterback? What are you going to do to defend that?
Well, I think that's just kind of a difficulty in football. If you watched over the weekend, a lot of people had a hard time doing that. So I think more specifically is looking at game one, we had a difficult time when they got most of their chunk yards. That quarterback run game, I think that's where they got most of their run yards. So one was a QB actual run. He turned into a touchdown. He broke some tackles, and so that one was more technique and fundamentals. And then the other one was when he was able to scramble and create with his feet and broke the pocket. So I think. You see that he's been able. I mean, they could have done a little bit more, but I think we had to make that shift of just being aware of the quarterback. And I think when you're going into a time where quarterbacks don't get touched, and week one's always going to be a difficult one where guys are still trying to get used to rushing the pocket. As everywhere they're telling the guys to stay off the quarterback and don't touch the quarterback in the pocket, and so it's hard to simulate that pocket presence. And even if you go hit the scout quarterbacks and try to do that, you're not going against the same type of O-line and same type of scheme, so it's really difficult to simulate it. But it's why we've tried to have quarterbacks be live in the past, and maybe we need to liven up the quarterback this week against the Scouts so we can get used to it. But I think that's just the adjustment. I think there's a lot of variables that go into it, but we're addressing them right now because we're going to see it this week, and so we need to have an answer for it.
On a related note, how did you feel about your defensive line's performance overall? 2 sacks, 7 tackles for loss.
Yeah, I thought they got some knockback up front against a really veteran O-line group that they're returning most of their starters. You know, I think all four out of the 5 starters were returning, and the 5th guy they brought in that has experience. So our guys, we challenged them to be physical and execute their assignment. They did it, and really proud of our coaches getting them in place. But this one game, we got to, can you be consistent and do it week to week, and can you do it play to play? The thing that we've asked them to be is physical, so that's going to be good for us. There's still mistakes that we've made, and that's for the entire front. But as long as we have the concentration, the guys are the desire to want to be physical and make plays. I think we got a real good start with week 1. But there's a lot of misplays too. We had some missed opportunities for sacks and interceptions, things like that. So we've got to capitalize on all that.
We'll go Mitch Harper and then Jay Drew.
Kalani, how has Chase Roberts evolved as a receiver this year compared to his early years in the program?
I think he's just maturing in the offense. I think he understands it a little bit more. Every year that you get to be in this offense, I think you're gonna no. I mean, when he first started playing, you're like got one position. Now, I know on the roster he's listed as a certain position, but he can play all of them, including the tight end spot. So that's a huge weapon for us when we can have guys that can be flexible and versatile and use them different ways. It's kind of what we did with Puka. We could do that with all our receivers. I think you could see Fessy as he's working through all his receivers. It's really cool to see all those guys working and filling in for Darius that was missing in that game, and now we get him back. So Fessy's got his whole group that he can work with, and Chase happens to be one of the most veteran guys now. There was a time when he was a freshman and still learning from the veterans too, and that's part of the development in the process of becoming a great receiver, and I think he's headed that way.
And I wanted to ask a different question. This matchup being a Power 4 on Power 4 matchup, last time you guys played, it was Independence versus AAC. I'm curious, would you like to see eventually the Power teams just play 12 Power Conference games and maybe not worry about the FCS and Group of 5 games, just do P4 on P4 going forward in the future, because you're already at 10 games already in a season?
I think that's a question for Big 12 and Big 12 leadership and BYU administration. Whatever they line up, that's what we go play. So I like playing the best too, so I don't mind it. And but yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know where it's going to go from here, but I don't mind playing against teams that have. I mean, if you look at it, if it was a problem, then there'd be no one in the FCS beating FBS teams or G5s beating P5s, P4s, and so you're seeing that happen. It's hard to predict these games, and that's why I don't mind playing them all. So it doesn't matter to me. Whatever shows up, whatever they decide, that's what we'll do.
Kalani, my question's similar to Jake's on the defensive line, but mine is on the linebackers. How did Glasgow, Taggart, Jack Kelly, I think those were the 3 starters, how did they kind of grade out? What did you think of their performance? Yeah,
they graded out really good. I mean, the defense, there's still some plays to be made, but overall they did some really good things. They feel really comfortable in the system, in the scheme, and it's just a lot different having those guys there that know what they're doing now, and it's night and day difference when you get to spend more time in this system. So I think there's more to be done with those guys. I like that we rotated and used fresh bodies, and you had Che coming in and playing, you had Ice Moa playing, Sione Moa playing, so there's a lot of guys that we can still bring in. Siale Serra was playing in that position too, so we feel like that's a deep position group for us, and a lot of guys that have playmaking ability. So I feel really good about the entire front seven. There's just a few things to clean up and a few things that we can definitely improve on. But the effort, the energy, and the talent's there.
So you guys have played a Thursday, Friday night game before. It's not optimal, especially when you're traveling, but is that really an advantage, or are you guys even concerned with kind of the fact you have to play a day earlier than normal?
No, we knew the schedule ahead of time. We've applied all the science to it, and we've adjusted our schedules. We're going to be fine. I felt like the guys looked good on game night on Saturday, and so we're adjusting our schedule. And these guys had the Sabbath to go worship and spend time with their families, and now we're back to work, and we'll be ready to roll by the time we get to Friday.
We'll take a couple more questions from Jared Lloyd and then Jake Hatch.
Lonnie, you talked about how there are things you want to work on, obviously, and clean up from game one. I'm curious about some of the little details that maybe we don't talk a lot about. Just wonder what your evaluation and improvement that needs to happen as far as getting the play calls out, clock management, play calling trend, not getting too predictable, things like that. How do you kind of evaluate that and look at that after game one going into game two?
I think everybody looks at their tendencies and self-scout. We do that as well. So we have good people that work for us here, and we give them all these assignments, and that helps us out so we know what our tendencies are. But I mean, sometimes it's just tendencies are made to be broken sometimes too. So it's the entire understanding what you're about, but also understanding your identity and not stepping away from it. And I know there's a goal in what we want to accomplish on the offensive side, and I mentioned that to you guys before going into the game, that we have an idea of what we're going to do and how we're going to execute it. And then the same thing happened with defense and special teams, and now we're going to adjust, and now we're going to apply it to our next opponent. We feel really good about our ability to do that as coaches and as a staff, and we combine that with our players and the leadership. I think we'll be in a really good spot. So I'm looking forward to the next phase and the next step, and I feel good about our preparation. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm not really worried about the game being a day earlier or that it's on the road. We've planned for all of this.
What was your assessment of the helmet communication in game one?
I mean, that's the game it's still a little different than the NFL, where you still need to signal a little bit because you only have one helmet that has it, and there's not a lot of huddling going on in college football, and so I mean, yeah, it's still it's good, but I don't know if it's I don't know if they're going to adjust it and have you allow more on the field, which will definitely do away with the signal stealing and stuff like that. But the game right now, you let us have one helmet, that'll be great. I think the thing that's been really cool is the tablets on the sideline. It's been nice for our players to see, and before you'd have to get the communication from upstairs and what actually happened and what they saw from their point of view, seeing all 22 players, and now they can actually see it from the film, and that's awesome that we're able to use that technology and that both teams can do that.
Kalani, SMU seems to use a lot of RPO action in their offense. Did you get any tune-up with that with what Southern Illinois ran, or is it kind of a new look this week?
Well, I think there's some similarities in different ways. I mean, the difference would be that there's definitely better talent, but I don't know if it was the execution. It was an issue. As I would like to say, I wish I could just say that the defense caused problems for Southern Illinois, but you have to plan on teams being better and getting their best every week, and so that's I'm not sure if Southern Illinois gave us their best in terms of offense and their execution, but we just have to imagine that everyone's going to be better than what we see week to week, and so I mean I imagine that Southern Illinois is going to try to be better next week, and SMU is going to try to be better this week. They do have 2 games, 2R1 to go off of, but we also have 2 games that we can watch and see what they do. But even though I don't think the second game with them, I think they dominated the game from the beginning. So I don't know if there's much to show there other than we can see the personnel and the people that they have, and what we see is a lot of talent. So they've done a great job developing their talent and recruiting there. So it's going to be a tough task, and we're looking forward to the matchup, though.
How important is it for you guys to play in Texas annually, just with regards to recruiting?
Yeah, I mean, with the conference, we get to do that, and now with this non-conference game, I don't mind it. So that this is it's something new for our guys, and we have fans in that area, so we're hoping to see a lot of our Royal Blue fans out there, and I'm looking forward to the game. But regardless, the game's handled on the field. The players will be the ones competing. We just need to make sure that we get them set up to be at their best, and make sure that we get it all lined up for the guys as coaches.
Go to Jerem Jordan.
Jerem, BYU TV. Kalani, you mentioned that Jay is kind of up and running in the prep. Does that mean he'll call the defense this week?
Yeah, this is his defense. I mean, we all work together. So I mean that this is the setup was so that I mean, anyone could have called the game, and that's a huge compliment to our staff on defense and the way they set it up. But I thought the prep was nice, and it was a good, clean call sheet, and so that's the way Jay does it, and he does a great job leading the group. So I anticipate him returning to his role as D coordinator and doing his part. But I don't know if he'll be on the field or if he'll be in the box. I heard the coaches start liking that posh life in the box a little bit too much, and maybe he's liking it up there. I don't know, but I think it was a different perspective for him, and it was nice to just like I said after the game, it was nice just to hear his voice on the headphones, and that we can kind of talk back and forth. It was a good setup. The defense performed well, and I'm looking forward to getting Jay back with us full time.
And then a follow-up. BYU's played SMU 4 times. There's obviously some notable games there. The New Mexico Bowl, of course, you were involved in. But I wanted to ask you, as a kid, what's your memory of the Miracle Bowl, since that's one of the great games in BYU history?
Well, I think for me I was 5 years old, so I know I look older, you guys, but come on, Jerem, seriously, man. What's my 5 years old? I didn't remember much, but I remember 8 years old watching the highlights and stuff like that, And I mean, I was that kind of kid though that would watch replays of games all the time. So it was cool to watch, watch SMU teams. Then you hear all these names of the guys like Eric Dickerson and then you see like Kyle Whittingham running around out there and Jim McMahon, and so yeah, I was always watching it. But yeah, in real time, I don't know, didn't know much, but like afterwards, yeah, that's something that. There's some really cool parts of that game. People want to go back. I can't believe nobody would go back and rewatch the game. I don't know. It's not in HD, but like it's really cool stuff. I was doing that since I was a kid, just watching replays of games and just kind of evaluating it. But there's really cool things like Jim McMahon not wanting to punt, and just not. He just kept the offense out there, and then so when I was growing up as a kid to hear those stories, and then I get to ask Lavelle about him, and Lavelle would always, great storyteller, would add his sense of humor into it, and it was just a really cool thing, man. So just the history behind it, and now being in this position and knowing Rhett, and being friends with him, I think it's just really cool dynamic. I'm looking forward to the game, looking forward to seeing their fans. Just have a lot of respect for that program, and excited that they're in a new conference too. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Thanks so much for your time, Coach. We'll let you
all right.
Back to your stuff.
48 years old, guys. So there we go. 30 years ago, I was a true freshman here at BYU. Thanks, guys.
Happy Labor Day.
Coach.
Thanks, Kalani.
All right. There you go.
Okay, next up we're going to have Isaiah Banya. So if you guys have questions for Isaiah, go ahead. You can use the raise hand feature.
3 or 4 this week. You're moving though, bro. Proud of you. Oh, let me grab my water. Thank you.
How's it going, everybody?
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good, thank you. Thanks for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, we're just going to jump right into some questions. We'll start with Jared Lloyd and then Sean Walker.
Isaiah, what was it like looking back at Game 1? What was your evaluation of how your unit did to start the season?
Yeah, I think our defensive line did great. Of course, we left some production on the board, like some sacks, some TFLs, but I think we had a good overall start. I feel like this off season, all the work that we put in is starting to look like it's paying off. So we just need to keep being more urgent, and keep the ball rolling and into this next week.
It's early, but is there a different feeling as opposed to what you guys dealt with at the end of last year? Is there a different feeling on this team, just going into this season?
Absolutely. I feel like the mindset and the mentality of everybody, not even just on the defense, but, on the offense and the whole staff as a whole, really, we come in with a whole different mindset and mentality. I think that we have something to prove and we have a chip on our shoulder. Therefore, we got to go out there and play like it and practice every day like it.
Zay, as part of that mentality that you're talking about with this defense, just being aggressive and kind of that attacking mindset and whatnot, you had a sack, and I think there were 7 tackles for loss. I'm trying to recall right off the top of my head. Like, is that a sort of a conscious decision that you guys are looking at, is trying to be more aggressive and I guess maybe prove that you're more than just Tyler Batty in some ways?
Yeah, absolutely. To be a good defense, first of all, to be a good defensive line, we have to have every single part of it flying on all scales, right? And so with that being said, it's not just one guy, it's all of us, and you're as good as your weakest link. So therefore, it's kind of a collective effort at the end of the day. And you look all around every year, the best defensive line, it's not just really one person, it's everybody. It goes from D tackles, nose guards, both ends, getting pressure and really just collapsing the pocket. And also setting the edge and making a new line of scrimmage in the run game. All that stuff is very important. So that's kind of something we've emphasized and, want to be more urgent with this year. And first game it kind of showed. So, yeah, like I said, into next week with it.
Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, Isaiah, I just wanted to ask you, Kalani was talking about trying to defend the QB run game and being better about that after you guys got carved up by DJ Williams in that game 1. What can you as a defensive end do? Is it more about you just controlling what you can control on that front?
Absolutely. You can be more conscious of, the way that you contain rush. You don't want to get past quarterback, especially, because a lot of our guys, don't get me wrong, we can all power rush and speed to power, but a lot of, our great rushes, our main rushes are speed rushes, right? And so with that being said, especially for me, I love a speed rush. So in regards to containing the passer, that's something that we don't want to do, get past the core level of quarterback on pass. But when it comes to, games, like when they go empty and stuff like that, we can definitely be more conscious and intentional about, our stunts that we put on, ways that we can affect quarterback in all different kinds of ways, with our blitzes in front. So, yeah.
Now, SMU likes to run a lot of RPO action. Does that change much for you and your role on that end?
No. Every rep we take, regardless, we have to be detailed and lock into our keys. That's always going to come down to, especially when it comes to that type of stuff, just being disciplined with our eye control and, when we log into our keys, what we're looking at and how we stay disciplined on the line of scrimmage.
Okay, we'll have a couple more questions from Mitch and then Jay.
I'd say, what are the challenges of facing an SMU team that is very comfortable with playing 2 quarterbacks?
Right. You don't really know exactly what you're going to get, especially when it comes to the scouting report and how you prepare. So when we deal with something like that, it's kind of, you got to be more intentional and purposeful with your own prep and, doing what you do best as a defense as a whole and just kind of knowing, what's our identity and how do we come and play the game. Something we talked about starting the last game, we don't want to be the thermometer, we want to be a thermostat. Come in and, we set the tone regardless of who we playing, because last week we didn't know who starting quarterback was until we just got in, at least I didn't. And so with that being said, I kind of emphasize that to the guys and doesn't matter what quarterback comes out, we're going to still be us and play as our identity.
Go ahead, Jay.
Isaiah, last year with playing Arkansas in your Power 4 non-conference game, everyone knew their reputation and all that and how big of a game it was. What is SMU, a new Power 4 team, what is How do they kind of get your blood pressure going at all, or do they?
Yeah, I mean, they're a good team. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, like when I explained earlier, we have that kind of mindset. You know, we got a chip on our shoulder, and we got to come out and really perform and show kind of team we are this year. So, with that being said, it is cool to see that they're new in the conference as well. But regardless, we want to come out and we want to play the best we can, and obviously get the result of a win. So, of course, with that all being said, it does absolutely, get on a little touchy side of it. But like I said, we're ready, man. I'm excited.
Okay, that's all the questions we have for you today. Thank you, Isaiah.
Thank
Have a
you.
great
Appreciate you guys.
Red Sox. Hey Jake, how are ya?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being here with us today.
Yeah, no problem.
We're just gonna jump right into questions. Let's go Jake Hatch and then Jared Lloyd.
Jake, just overall, a couple days after the fact, how would you evaluate your performance, having a chance to look back on it on tape?
Pretty good. We executed pretty well. No turnovers is always a huge plus. That's a big emphasis always. And, there's a few throws that I definitely want back. A couple decisions I can make better, but that's for next week.
I also wanted to ask you, just in terms of your comfort level, do you feel like you're fully ingrained in this offense now and you're in full control?
Yeah, I feel that way 100%. I think this offseason has 100% solidified that.
Jake, you just touched on this, but week 1 to week 2 is supposed to be a jump. Everybody's supposed to get a little bit better. What needs to happen? What in your mind is that next step for your offense?
Just clean up the little things, the little mistakes that aren't amplified against a team like that, and that will be amplified against an ACC opponent. So that's just, I know I know every position has their little things that they need to improve on, and communication and stuff like that. In the game, everything's a little faster, and so getting used to that is definitely a big deal, and something that I think will be better in week 2 for us.
I asked Kalani this, but I'm curious from your perspective. The technology changes. How big of a difference was it having the tablets, having the helmet communication? What was that like?
It's great. I love it. I think it makes things easier for me to hear it just in the headset right before the play. I can tell the O-line quicker. The O-line can get their calls off quicker, and play clock really was not much of a factor at all in the game on Saturday, and that's the benefit of it on my part. I think if a tight end's ever confused looking at the signal, I just tell them real quick. Even if they're looking at it for the first time, I can tell them real quick. A late substitution, I can tell them to play real quick, and the whole thing really easily. And so that's nice. It's really nice, and I think our team has done a really good job of adapting to the new way we're handling the technology and the new stuff, and it's good to talk to the coaches about it off the field. It makes Sunday morning film study actually a little different now because you've watched the game already. Because you already watched it on the sideline, so you're watching the game, so you can get through it kind of quicker and move on and get to the next team a little quicker.
We'll go Mitch and then Jay Drew.
You bring up film study, Jake. Are you a avid film study guy where you just love kind of getting deep in the weeds and grinding and being that kind of film savant, if you will?
Yeah, but at the same time, there's a good balance. Last week, I felt I was really dialed because we got to be ahead of the game, being able to prepare earlier, not having a week before made it easy to prepare earlier the week before, and even in the summer a little bit, watched a little bit of that tape. But I definitely get into it for sure, especially early in the week. I hit it really hard, and then late in the week, I trust my preparation. And because there's a point where it's like, all right, let's go play football, and let's not just be dialed into what they showed and what percentage of what came up. It's like we got to be able to read and react on the field.
When you bring up preparation, how now that you're officially the winner of the QB battle and QB1, how just kind of reflecting on the off season, what that battle did for you and in your work and making you a better quarterback and bringing out the best of you.
Yeah, I mean the competition makes everybody better, especially everybody involved and everybody outside of us. Everybody's attention to detail. Everybody's intensity was a little higher. I believe that for sure because of a competition in all of fall camp and all of the off season. So the preparation's for sure there because it pushed me to be more prepared than ever in order to win that job because I was going against a really good quarterback on the other side of that competition. And so, the preparation's there, and we are all ready to go. We all came out week one, and I think we did a really good job not having those first game mistakes, the formation penalties or the play clock stuff or the substitution stuff. Like, we did a really good job. I think we might have only had one of those, and that was just because of miscommunication, and it wasn't because of a late sub or not letting a guy get set or something like that. And so the guys looked really prepared game one, and so we're just going to take another jump to week two.
Jake, two-part question. One, what was yesterday like for you as far as just, was your phone ringing off the hook or whatever? And also, what was your dad's kind of critique of your performance? I know he's a former high school football coach.
Yeah, my dad actually sent me a little post on Instagram that said, if you're a son and you outperform your dad, whether it's through sports or in life, that's a good thing. That means your dad did a good job. And my dad played football at UC Santa Barbara, and so he doesn't have much critique for me playing at Power 4 level here at BYU for the Big 12. And so he's just super supportive and super happy for me, super excited for all of it. We got to get him a shirt to wear because he can't be wearing that RCC shirt at the games anymore, which I know he got flamed for on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, the phone was a lot of positivity from old coaches, old people in my bed, like in the village. Like, I really believe it takes a village, and so a lot of people from home texted me and congratulated me on the first game, first win, stuff like that, and so it was awesome. A lot of positive vibes on that part.
Go ahead, Sean, and then we'll wrap up with Mitch and Jake.
Jake, have your dad ping me on Instagram or whatnot, because I may have a couple of ways to get him some BYU swag to start repping the games a little bit more too. So have him ping me and we'll talk. I got some connections out there. But I wanted to follow up a little bit on you talked with Mitch about the quarterback competition with Gary and how that made you better and whatnot. What's your relationship been like with him in the days since kind of the competition ended and you took your spots into the team? It feels like it's been relatively seamless, I guess, from what the field showed us on Saturday. But what's kind of your relationship been like since fall camp ended?
100% seamless, I would say. And that's just a testament to Gary, his character, his maturity level, and he's just an incredible guy on and off the field. I got so much respect for him in all aspects of life. He's an incredible teammate. He's an incredible father. He's an incredible leader. And our relationship has not changed very much at all. We're still just as supportive of each other as we were all fall camp. And in the summer and the spring, all that, we are just as supportive of each other now. And he's done an incredible job just being supportive of me and being super positive and for all the guys around me and getting and rallying with everybody else. And so he's just it's been super seamless, to say the least.
Jake, how much more of the playbook has Coach Roderick thrown at you now that you're in your second year with this offense, and just maybe how much more of the depth of this playbook is being thrown at you now?
I think we've opened it up as open as it can get. I think that I have a great understanding for all of it. I definitely a lot better understanding than I did last year at this time. Just when it comes to every in and out of progression, every ins and outs of protection of something that I'm not necessarily always involved in. I'm now dialed in, and so that's an awesome part that awesome jump I've been able to make this offseason. And so as far as I can tell, the playbook is wide open.
And one last thing, are you going to monetize that caption from IG today? Reds live, Reds laugh, Reds love. It's pretty strong.
I got to, or I don't know how to do that, but I should.
Jake, I wanted to ask you just in terms of your overall comfort level being a running quarterback. I know they don't run you a lot, but what's your comfort level in terms of just carrying the rock if you have to?
Really, really high. I mean, I've always been able to run pretty well and run super effectively in order to open it up for the running backs and being a good complement to their run game. And the QB run game can do a lot for those guys on the front side of things, being able to take advantage of the open backside and read option and stuff like that. I think I had a good first down run on that 3rd and long in the game. Not much explosive stuff. There was one play where you saw me and LJ wrestling for the ball. That's something we'll iron out. I gave him crap because I think I might have had a touchdown there because Waylon was pulling on the mic for me and it would have been wide open. But he made up for it by catching the touchdown a play or two later. So I'm super comfortable, always have been. And the QB run game is a good part of our run game that makes everything else a little more open and available.
We saw you uncork that deep ball to JoJo like it was nothing. Can you estimate how far you might be able to throw a ball if you were just to huck it?
I don't know, man. The adrenaline for sure made that thing go another 10 yards. I think that was somewhere around 60 in the air, and I didn't feel like I chucked it very far. I don't know. Hope maybe I'll be able to hit 70 or maybe a little more. I couldn't tell you. I think with adrenaline, it always can go further. So on a game day, maybe I can hit 70, 75. Hopefully, that'd be awesome. But in practice, I don't know if I could do that again.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake. Appreciate you taking
Yep.
the time to be.
Thank you.
Have a great week. Good luck on Friday.
Thanks.
Looks like we'll finish up our interviews with Talon Alfredi. So if you guys have questions for Talon, go ahead, get those ready. Hey, Talon, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing good, thank you. Thanks for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. We're just gonna start with Jared Lloyd. I'll just ask you a couple questions.
Perfect.
Tom, I wanted to ask about your group and also about how Gavin Fowler helped you guys out. I know he's been a big part of your unit, but with Jay being a little bit limited after the heart attack, what was your experience on Saturday like?
Yeah, obviously with Coach Hill being a little affected by the heart attack, Coach Gavin stepped up pretty big. We always joke that he's Coach Hill 2.0. He tries to do what the great coaches do, and Coach Hill's one of the great coaches that he's trying to emulate. And so we trust Coach Fowler, and he helped with communicate up with Coach Hill in the booth about rotation, about how to fix coverages. With the iPads, we could rewatch things, and hearing what Coach Hill had to say through Coach Gavin was fun. It was a cool experience to kind of have that technology. Obviously, it's different than what we expected, but it was pretty seamless and pretty fun as well.
You touched on the tablets. I just was curious, as a defender, did the helmet communication have much of an impact from your viewpoint, or was the tablets kind of the biggest change that you saw on Saturday?
Yeah, from my viewpoint, the tablets were the biggest, difference maker from last season, and being able to rewatch the play if you had a question on what routes were run or what the O-line run pass block looked like, just where your drop was in relation to where it should have been. Just having that kind of instant feedback was really nice. Obviously, we watch film every day, and being able to do that in the game helped a lot. So super grateful for that technology.
We'll take questions from Mitch Harper and then Jake Hatch.
Yeah, Talon, we've heard a lot about the mindset's different with this defense this year. Is there anything different in year two under Coach Hill with this scheme that's maybe evolved to, change things up as well?
That's a good question. I think Coach Hill, he has his defense that he loves, and there's obviously tweaks that are being made week by week for the opponent, just to fine-tune the game plan to be better, more effective against certain teams and what they like to do. The second year under Coach Hill's definitely a lot better. We have a better understanding of what's going on, why he's calling what he's calling, and then just the exactness or neatness of executing the plays has been the biggest improvement, and I think that's what helped with getting pressure on the quarterback last night, with having better coverage last night, kind of all working together to just cause more chaos than we did last year.
And just wanted to also add or ask you, how much does it help the confidence of the defense when you're seeing the other side of the ball, the offense, with Jake and those guys having as much success to where they're putting up numbers and making your guys' job a little bit easier too, which is maybe how the impact that has on the defense, the offense success?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. We talk a lot about complementary football, and all three phases, defense, offense, special teams, have to work together. And I think Saturday night was a perfect example of that. We had, special teams can be cleaned up a little bit. I mean, everything cleaned up, but we had that punt fake stop, which instead of our offense with great field position. We had great kicks by Will for mostly touchbacks, and so it was very fun as a defender to kind of see that complementary football gelling together. And like you said, yeah, it is fun to see the offense rolling, doing their thing. And obviously, we get to practice against them every day, and so we know the work they put in, and especially in the off season as well, in the weight room and on the field and all fall camp. So it was fun to kind of see them go against someone else besides ourselves and put up some good numbers.
Alan, you guys rotated very heavily on Saturday, just at all positions on the defense. Is that going to be a thing going forward, or is that kind of a one-off in your mind?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if I have a clear answer for you because I'm not the coach and I don't know what's going on exactly in his mind, but I think just try to find the guys who will make plays, the guys who do their job every play is what he was kind of hoping to get out of rotating so many people. And moving forward, it's going to be up to him. Just excited to be able to play, and like you said, yeah, lots of guys had lots of opportunities on Saturday to play, and it's fun to see, especially the young freshmen who get their first snaps of college football to come off and they're all excited, and it's fun to be part of that with them, especially in the safety room because we're so close.
SMU appears to be pretty RPO heavy with their offense. What's your evaluation of them?
Yeah, just from the quick film study I've done so far, you're right. They like the RPOs. They're good athletes, really good team, well coached, and so we're excited to kind of get an opportunity to prepare quick and be ready to go down there and play against that type of style. And I was part of the team a couple years ago in the bowl game that was able to play against that offense. That was a fun game. We ended up obviously winning that one, and so that was fun to be part of that. And so excited to again fine-tune, see what they're doing, see what they're running. Like you said, the RPOs, they're obviously a challenge, but we've been coached well on how to handle those, and so we're excited to execute that.
We'll wrap up with questions from Sean Walker and then Jared Lloyd.
Yeah, Talon, J-Rob told us after the game that when Coach Hill went down to the field and saw you guys, there was a line of like 80 people waiting to shake his hand and to give him a hug and all that. He said that was the best part of his game, like the best part of his day, even more than the win in a lot of ways. Did you kind of feel that a little bit? And I guess what did it mean to you seeing Coach Hill there, not only as your DC, but also your safeties coach, I guess, a guy who just went through this traumatic medical episode and he wants the focus on you guys. He wants to be with you guys on game day. Just what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot. Pretty heavy to learn about what happened to him in our team meeting, and then figuring out he had 2 surgeries and that he was still going to be at the game was pretty strong testament to his love and care for the team. And like you said, he didn't want it to be about him. And we're getting out what happened, and but he's very player oriented and wants us to be the focus. And so it was pretty special to see him there. And J-Rob's right. There was the whole team wanted to just pat him about offense and defense, which goes to show that how good of a coach he is, and just super personable with each player, even on the offensive side too.
Go ahead, Jared.
Alan, you guys went through the transition to the Big 12 last year. Now you're in year 2. SMU's going through that transition now into the ACC. As a player, does that impact you at all? Did you think about it last year, or is it one of those things that kind of is more in our realm as far as talking about it outside of the program?
Yeah, I think it's more outside of the programs. I mean, obviously it's on people's minds, but at the end of the day, it's football, and you get to play football. It doesn't really matter who you get to play against. And so I know for us last year, we were super excited for our opportunity to be in the Big 12, and I'm sure SMU is super excited for their opportunity to be part of the ACC and play whoever. I mean, we're not in the same conference, but we get to play each other. It's Friday night football this week, and both programs will be excited to play each other. So we're super excited for the opportunity.
Last thing, you touched on this, but the jump from week 1, week 2, what needs to happen? Every year you want to make a big jump between the game 1 and game 2. So what needs to happen before you guys take the field on Friday?
Yeah, just clean up. We had missed opportunities on Saturday for turnovers, interceptions, fumble recoveries, forced fumbles. So cleaning up that, being more aggressive on that end as a defense, as a whole team, just cleaning up small things here and there, and being able to execute things cleaner to just cause more chaos as a defense, especially, and then score more points as a team.
Thanks, Talon. Looks like that's all the questions we have for you today.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.